Good afternoon, Chairman and fellow participants. My name is Ajani Tunde Olanrewaju. I am here to present a paper titled The Re-incarnation of African Ethical Values in the Face of Contemporary Security Challenges in Nigeria. This paper is of 6 sections. We have number 1, the introduction; number 2, traditional African values; number 3, how African values have been eroded; 4, overview of security challenges in Nigeria; number 5, the implication of neglect of traditional African values in the face of contemporary security challenges in Nigeria; and number 6, conclusion and recommendation. Introduction. Pre-colonial period witnessed the African society with well-organized and functioning ethical system. Before the arrival of the Europeans, Africans had a functional and ethical system that was enviable. People envy that system. However, the advent of the Europeans brought change in the moral language of the Africans. I would like to move on with the conceptual definition. The first thing I would like to go on with here is the traditional African values. That's African culture. According to E.B. Tillon, culture is a complex whole which comprises morals, tradition, values, belief, habit, custom that are acquired by man as a member of a society. So African culture is the morals, custom, belief, arts, music, literature, education, and technology that are peculiar to Africans. So what we add then as our beliefs, what we add then as our morals, what we add then as our custom, were our own culture, our own traditional values. Because of time, I would like to quickly go to values in African culture. Values in African culture. So we have a lot of values in African culture. So because of time and space, I may not be able to go into them, into all of them, but I will take three very important ones among these values. And as I move on in the course of this paper, we allude to some other ones. But these three are very important. That's number 1, the sanctity of life; number 2, cooperative living; number 3, justice. Sanctity of life. In traditional African society, life is placed on high premium. There is a fundamental belief that every human person has the right to life. To an African society, life is sacred. You cannot take a man's life. You cannot take another person's life. Even in African tradition, it is a taboo to take one's life. When you commit suicide, you are buried outside the town, or you are buried outside the village. And special rituals will be conducted to do a kind of cleansing of the village. Now to the second one, which is cooperative living or communal living. In traditional African societies, individual lives are guided by the community. The community exerts a kind of great influence on individuals, therefore making it very hard for a member of the society to think of perpetuating evil against another. The slogan "one for all for one" is more applicable to these African African communities. The third one is justice or fairness. Justice and fairness are inherent aspects of life in traditional African societies. There wasn't a disagreement and chaos in the most pre-colonial societies because of this jealously guarded value. The judgments were being passed on time and without any bias or prejudice. What was unique in the punishment of offenders then was that in pre-colonial, especially in pre-colonial Igbo justice system, the offenders were punished quickly. they believe in that slogan that justice delayed is justice denied. So they quickly pass the judgment and punish the offender. So because of the values mentioned above, it was easy for the people to live in peace and harmony. There was no problem, there was no riot, there was no chaos, there was no kidnapping, no security challenge of any form. The people were living peacefully because of their moral language. However, the advent of the Europeans bring about individualism to the people. They make us to believe that our collective way of living as Africans was not good enough. When they came with two powerful tools. They came with religion and education, and in their religious places, they planted the seed of suspicion and mistrust in the mind of the people, and witch hunting, telling people that your family, your mom is a witch, your dad is a witch, making people to move far away from their ancestral homes. Before, in African society, in traditional African society, you see water pot in strategic places. We call it amu in Yoruba, with a cable on top of it, like a cup on it. And everyone can just go to the pot to take water and drink. However, these people, because they want to sell their buckets and cups, told us that it's not hygienic and that the water could be poison, creating seed of mistrust and suspicion just to sell their products. So, so it became man for himself. Africans, we took all this hook, line, and sinker, individualism setting. People started to accumulate wealth, not caring about others, but for themselves and their family. Because of time constraint, I would like to quickly go to the recommendation. Uh, Number one, there is the need for there to be a concerted effort by all to return to our traditional values, which teach communal living. Our cultural values, which include honesty, hard work, sanctity of lives, and justice, should be promoted. Number two, naming and public shaming of corrupt politicians would go a long way to curb the excesses of the unscrupulous politicians, since many of them are sponsors of these kidnappers and terrorists. Thank you very much.